All right, guys, what we got going on here, this is a 2021 Odes Dominator X4 LT, which stands for long travel. You guys seen this in a previous video of me doing a belt on it. So what Doug is complaining about now is that when it starts up and warms up and gets its speed, it has a surging issue. Like he says, it surges. Now, I haven't verified this yet, so we're gonna probably hop in this thing and verify what is going on. But the first thing I want to do before I do anything is that I'm going to unlatch this hood and I'm going to check for any codes. So we'll just flip this thing up. I don't know why they included the included this guy back here. I don't know who uses that, but I never use it. And the plug should be back here behind off of the ECU, which you have your regular rectifier right here. This is your winker relay everybody complains about, wireless winch controls, reverse speed controller, fuse box, starter solenoid, and then many other relays here and here for four-wheel drive. Now if I could find the, here is my plug-in for my codes right there. Let's grab my connector. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the key on. Now I've had this one here. I do have the HUD Hacker software, but I have this and I'm just going to use this. This is easier for me to monitor when I do drive it so I can look at TPS, fuel pressure and all that instead of having a computer bounce around. So let's go ahead and plug that in here. Fire this up. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. Enter, enter, read codes. So we have no fault in the ECU. We're going to go to status stream and we're just going to kind of look through a few things. Everything is showing blah, blah, blah. All right. Data stream. Throttle position is showing 0. So I'm wondering, my question would be if the throttle position is dropping out or if we're losing fuel pressure or what it may be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to run this. I don't know how I'm going to run this around so I can actually be able to read what's going on at the same time while we're driving it. That's going to be kind of difficult. His windshield does flip out. So let me get that set up and we'll go through it. So next thing I want to do, I got the scanner ran up through the windshield where it flips out, sitting over there. Next thing I want to do, I want to hook up my fuel pressure gauge and verify fuel pressure if I can get this guy to come out here. Whew. It is, oh, this is a different style than what I was expecting. It doesn't even have the connector. It only has the, doesn't have a return line. Huh. Interesting. The older ones had a return line too that I could recall. Wonder why they went to this style. Interesting, but okay, well, what we'll do in that case, I won't worry about fuel pressure at the moment because I know it does start up and idle and run. So we'll let it get hot. We'll fire this thing up, let it get warm, take it for a drive and see if we can recreate this surging issue he was talking about. So let's go ahead and fire it up. So I'm gonna let this thing sit here for a little bit, warm up, and when we get ready to take off, I will start the camera again. Well, we could data stream while we're sitting here watching, just to kind of see what's going on. So we're idling anywhere from what it's showing me, high 12s to low 14s, which is fine. Throttle position is 0.03 to 0. That's pretty good. We'd rather be set to constant 0, but that's okay. Let's see, map pressures, I'd have to look at my deal to see if it's really out of spec. I just want to see if there's anything like way out of the ordinary. Right now, battery voltage charging is up to 13.6, bouncing around at 13.5, 13.4 to 13.6, which is good. Let's see, AFR command right now is 13.8. Might be a little lean on that side. 14. I would like to see it a little richer than that. I wouldn't mind to see like 13.2, 13.4, constant 13.6, but right now it's showing 14.3. The command AFR is 14.6.2, and that's where it's holding steady right now. And again, like I said, I do have the ECU HUD Hacker software on a computer, but this is just easy to hold, for me to hold. Block multiplier looks pretty normal. Fuel pump 99%. Fuel post width looks pretty normal from up to 4.4 milliseconds down to 3.84. Fuel post width at idle. Desired steps pretty much correct. And 94. Desired RPMs 1250, and we're plus or minus 100. Malfunction code 118. I'm pretty sure that that's the, I'll have to double check that. Malfunction code 118. I wonder why that's in there. Is that that's usually one that Zeus always has. Spark dwell time 1.7 milliseconds, 1.17 milliseconds. Voltage looks good to the O2 sensor. Map read angle looks correct. Let's see, voltage to O2 sensor number 2 looks the same. ICV comp TPS and engine previous runtime. Now there should be runtime since engine runtime 205. Let's back out. Let's check our codes again. ECU has no faults. But it's showing me malfunction history code 118. Let's see, let's exit. Oh yeah, I can't remember what a 118 is. We'll go back to DCT, information, Delphi, malcodes, P0, 1, 1, 8. Coolant oil temperature sensor circuit high voltage or open. That would be on the motor. That's a stored code. Yeah, malfunction, history malfunction, 0118. Current malfunction, nothing, but that was the history. I may go grab my computer and hook it up to this and see if I can't get rid of that history. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab my computer, bring up HUD Hacker, and see if I can't get that code to pop up. So let me go grab that. All right, guys, so I'm in my ECU HUD Hacker here. It didn't record what I was after initially, which I want to go back to. We'll go back to control. Now, what you got to do when you get into this thing, you got to make sure you put the ECU to a Delphi MT05. You connect, and then I went down here to show fault codes, and we did still have that 118 in the stored history. So I cleared that out. I could not clear the history code on my little handheld. So HUD Hacker definitely helped with that. Now, when I go to the dashboard here, You can look at all the layout stuff here. You can see your ignition voltage, you can see your coolant temperature sensor, ignition's on. You can just see all the parameters. Now if I go up here to what's called the trace, not the trace, but the grid, sorry. It's touchscreen, but it's not working. The grid, I can go through here and watch everything. As it highlights yellow like it is, that means it's changing. And if you don't know what something is, let's say short trim, correction initial cylinder 1, we can go over here, we can touch this, and it'll bring up and tell you short trim, adaptation, integral, learned while in closed loop. And it gives you the whole spiel of what that actually is. So that's a good thing about HUD Hacker. You can see that. But what I was looking at as I was scrolling through, I was looking for anything changing down here. Now what I was getting was O2 cylinder, rich cylinder 1. Whoop, it's going off and on quite a bit. Let me get off of that. So if you watch it, it'll sit here, it'll be rich lean, which rich, it basically comes on showing that it's rich, and then it goes off, and it's rich and it goes off. So there could be an issue with the O2 sensor, not sure. I'm gonna go back to the dashboard on this thing, if I can get there, and I'm just gonna go take this thing, let's take this thing for a ride while we're hooked up. I'm gonna leave my computer over there to the side. You can data stream it, but let's see if we can recreate his surging issue at speed. Definitely tell he's been running around a high gear with these tires. I can feel the belt a little bit of initial slip on the beginning. If you guys are going above 30 miles an hour in this thing, on a 1000 especially, stay in low range. It'll help belt longevity all day long. So he said it's running down the road, so we're gonna go down the road on my dead end street and see what we can figure out here. The good part about this Odes is that it has blinkers. All right, let's see if we can get some surging. Down the hill, I'll see what we get as far as surging stuff goes. Take it for a long drive down the side road over here and see what we can feel at speed. Shut off at 45, 46 miles an hour. can't figure out why it has that initial loss. Okay, now it's surging all the time. All right, let's go to my computer here. Let's see if we can't data record back to control. We're going to rename the file. And we're going to start recording. My GoPro decided it didn't need to listen to that and did its thing, but here we go again. See how it's surging really bad? That's interesting. I wonder if that's TPS or fuel pressure. Starts to miss. So my guess, we could have a TPS sensor going south and it's not reading the butterfly blades. Or it could be something to do with the reverse speed controller going south too. A few different things it could be. That was really interesting though. So I finally got to repeat what he said it was doing. And that's really, really, really interesting. Throw this thing in park. Let me stop the recording. All right, so I stopped that on this deal. Again, this thing I'm pointing at keeps stopping when I tell it to do something else when I'm talking to you guys. That's part of the voice control. So I did stop it. Let's go back to data grid. And let's see. Right now, TPS compensation .02 with the idle air controller. Let's go back down here and see. I could definitely smell heat. No DTCs, coolant temps at 188.3 and dropping with the fan on. 188.3 and that's at 3 bars on this thing. Air temperature sensor 146. Airflow correction factor. Dynamic idle spark. We could be losing spark too, so I'll have to slowly go through and see what we find. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the unit here. And then this thing I should be able to turn the key on. Oh, I still got my blinker on. All right. Now we'll go back to dashboard. All right, I'm gonna unhook. I'm gonna walk into the shop and I'm gonna go ahead and play back this this file right here I just made. and see if I can see what's cutting out. All right, so here we are. I'm running through the recorded file on this thing, and I found something kind of weird. I may have to cut it short here and get back into it because Talon from Rev 6 is gonna call me because I'm getting a Polaris 500 Ranger rebuild kit from them. Awesome company, guys. You need to hit them up if you need any Polaris stuff, or I forget what all brands they sell, but the kits are great, good prices, especially for the dealer. But anyways, so I'm looking at the file. As you can see here, I don't know how to screen record on this thing. I'm not going to do all that. I don't have the time to edit all that stuff. So if we go back right here, you can see we have voltage to O2 sensor, fuel injectors. These guys have voltage, right? And then down here, the fuel cutoff enable. Now you can see what's yellow is basically going to change. All that stuff is going to change. So when I go one frame next, where we get the hesitation, it loses all power to the O2 sensor, the injectors. Now my throttle position, I lose 0.5 on my throttle. It's probably because I'm letting off for the hesitation, but what comes on is a diagnostic mode comes on. Whoop. And then over here, fuel cutoff enable, that comes on. That usually only comes on when you're having an issue with the reverse speed controller on these things, or you have a rollover sensor enabled and then that happens. You can see here that the air temperature is 143, the coolant temperature is 185.1, not a big deal, and it's saying there's no faults in the ECU. I haven't checked my target spark or any of that over here between the two, but I am getting, again, if you watch here, the fuel cutoff comes on, and that's when it drops all the O2s, the injectors. So that's telling me there is something probably going on with the reverse speed controller on this. Watch, we go here, you can see nothing. We go one frame forward, again, watch there, bam. Fuel cutoff enabled, and we lose it. There's a frame, and then it goes out, and we get it back again, and then we go for a little bit of a distance, and everything looks pretty normal. We're just going frame by frame here, and you can see there's no fuel cut out. And bam, you see how it dropped out again? Boom. Now, that's O2 sensor. That stayed good. Fuel cutoff did not happen that time. Neither did diagnostic mode. We'll keep going. Okay. Here we got it again. Fuel cutoff enabled. What is making the fuel cutoff enabled? Again, usually the reverse speed controller is what I know of. You know, all these other things going on will limit what the fuel and all that, but everything looks good. Now you get a map CID enable. I don't know really how to explain that to you guys. Like I said, you can hover over it, and it talk about the manifold absolute pressure sensor identifier. Basically, when an intake valve suddenly opens, the manifold pressure sensor detects a sharp pressure drop of about 1 kilopascal. This allows to detect the position of the cylinder. So basically what happens, it opens, it creates a low pressure, and that's how your intake sensor works on that. So that does come on. You can see we're still having an issue. Fuel cutoff enabled. Now it turned off. O2 sensors run back to good. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably having a problem with the reverse speed controller. I've had so many problems with reverse speed controllers on these machines, and not much has changed over the years when it comes to those. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to call Doug and let him know what I think it is, because there are no faults in the ECU, and that's the only thing I see is that the fuel cutoff enable is popping on, and that usually is what the reverse speed controller does. It kind of kicks the fuel or spark and things like that. The reverse speed controller on these units also run a lot of the small electronic stuff. I will check the 9-pin black connector behind the ECU, but we'll jump into that in a second. All right, sorry guys, Talon called me from Rev 6 again to get me a kit together for 2011 Polaris 500 Ranger. We're going to do a video on here in the near future, and along he's actually going to dig up some stuff for me for an 08 Arctic Cat Prowler. They have the motor available, but they don't have a kit available, so he's going to see what he can do to actually get a kit together for me. This thing is kind of yuck looking, huh? All right, still a little funky. Over to my toolbox. How about now? Oh yeah, microfiber to the rescue. All right, anyways, so what was I talking about? I'm gonna get a hold of Craig at Motorcycle Doctor. Again, you can hit him at Craig at motorcycledoctor.com. He is in Melbourne, Florida. He usually has a lot of parts available, very good information. I'm gonna take a look at this reverse speed controller that I pointed out early in the video and see if we can figure out if I can still get one. I believe this is a 2021 Odes Dominator 1000 long travel. It's LT X4 4-door LT long travel. Short travel should have the same one in there, but yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then hopefully this cures the problem, because I don't see anything else over here that's showing me anything. But we will walk out to the unit here in a second, and I'll show you guys this 9-pin connector that is a known issue, and we can throw some dielectric grease on that. All right, so the black 9-pin connector, I usually reach in here from the side, and you might be able to see it down here. This is a very known corrosion spot. I'm probably gonna pull the battery out. I'll remove this whole entire box off to the side so we have better access. All right, so I got the battery box up and out of the way. Here is that 9-pin connector we were talking about. I don't know how well you guys can see it from the angle, but this thing is known to corrode and cause issues. This one looks really, really good. I've had one corrode before, and it was grounded out, and every time you turned the key on, it would pop the EFI fuse, and it ended up being the power wire. I don't remember which one it was on here. It's been many years, many moons ago, was bad. So I just unhooked it, did a jump across with a butt connector, and the problem went away. But let's go ahead and throw, since we got that out, we're gonna go throw some dielectric grease in there. We don't have to get crazy with it. Just paint it a little bit on this side. And we'll paint the connectors on this side. Make sure they're all coated. That way we know if you do go through water on this one, we're not gonna run into any issues with water getting on the pins. There's that. Now I'll just go ahead and put the battery box back in, reinstall the bolts I took out from it, and then get the battery back in place. And again, the reverse speed controller, can't see it here, but I'll show it to you guys here in a second. This is your reverse speed controller right here. I can't even read the part number on that. I personally think it may be that going bad. They did have an issue with those for many moons. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably order one of those up. You can see it's like a 16-pin connector right here. I don't know if you guys can see that right here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna order that up. You can see I took the 2 screws out of the firewall just so I could get a look at what's going on here. Very hard to see, but I'm gonna order one of those and see if that cures our problem on this 2021. Is that what it says? Let's see. Yeah, actually it's a 2022. If you look here, made in 11/2021. Odes 1004 JC 11/20/21. So that's what we're gonna do. Order one of those up. See if that cures our problem. Also, one more thing I want to talk to you guys about. A bit of factor on these newer ones here. I hooked it back up just for this reason. So on some of these newer ones, you'll have a line that you cannot get past 25 miles an hour. Some are like on the down tube over here. It's a single connector, and some will be right here. This little connector right there. That keeps you from going over 25 miles an hour. Okay, I just hooked it up to verify on this one, and that is actually bogged out right at 25. So I'm gonna unhook it now. Actually, let's take a ride with it at 25, then we'll unhook it so you can see what I'm talking about exactly. Some of you guys might already know, but let's go ahead and put this out there real quick. We'll fire this up. Back to high. Down my driveway, I should be able to hit 25. You'll watch it ball. 14, 22, 4. See that? See how it's bogging like that? Okay, that's the cutout on that. And now, so we'll put this back here, put it in park, jump out here. Flip this back up. Let's disconnect this guy right here. Now you can see that leads into this reverse speed controller. That is definitely an issue there. So that's unhooked now. Watch our tabs so we don't break those. He's already broken one. Okay, got this back on here. All right, I'm gonna put it in low to turn around. All right, I'm gonna stop, put it back in high, and we're gonna hit 20 to show you that now we won't have that bogging issue anymore. Miles an hour, no problem. That is a huge issue on a lot of these units that are running 25 mile an hour. You just got to disconnect that wire. That runs into reverse speed controller, and that controls the speed of this thing. Again, you may have a problem. Maybe our main problem on this is that reverse speed controller with that circuit. So again, guys, remember that's there. Unhook it, get over 25 miles an hour. All right, so there is possibly a solution to this without replacing the reverse speed controller. I do have to take a couple pictures for Craig at Motorcycle Doctor of the connector here for him and this wire here for him also, so he can see the effects of what that is for the 25 mile an hour deal. He wants me to send it to him. So what he said basically is that on the back of the ECU, he showed me a brown plug is what he was showing me, but there's a wire that you would cut. It's let me look at my phone real quick so I don't lie to you what color it is. Let me check my email again. Let's see, Craig. He said, Odes rev limiter cuts wire to remove RPM limits of reverse 4x4 seatbelt and more. Basically, it's, here you go right here. You guys see that? So that's from Craig at Motorcycle Doctor. Odes wire color is white/red, third from the bottom left corner, clip up top, gray plug, pin 16. So I have to figure out exactly where that's at on this thing. Plug up top. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna check that out and clip that. And then I gotta send him a picture of this guy right here for the rev limiter stuff so he can see what's going on with that, because I don't think he has a picture of this yet. And he wants a picture of that with it all put together like so. And then I'm gonna uncover that wire so he can see what color that is actually. And then if you guys have any issues, give you some pointers on what that runs. So he wants to see what that wire connects to, because it's showing here that it's white and brown or white and black to what looks like a black wire on there. So I'm gonna take a couple pictures of that. We'll get the plug off and see if we can cure this cut and out problem. All right, so we got in the shift controller or reverse speed controller from Craig, 16 pin 4x4 for 1,000. Let's pull this one off so you can see what it says underneath here. Description: Odes UTV 800 reverse speed control, part number 109093600001. And then of course Craig has a shift controller, $92 plus tax and shipping. And here we go, 16 pin, looking good. Looks like the same. Let's check the pin out. Pin out looks the same on this one. Whoops, sorry. Pin out looks the same on this. So let's stick this in. Oh yeah, I got this back in the shop. You guys remember the O2 GSXR Warrior 750? Just putting a regulator, rectifier, and stator in that for him. But anyways, let's walk out here to the Odes real quick. And we will throw in let me grab the screws out of the cup holder real quick. I think I put them in the cup holder. Yep, here we go. got those. Now, he said there was another way to bypass it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I have the DT08. I think that's the name of the single connector ECU on this one. The MT05 has a dual connector, and unfortunately, to do what he was talking about doing by cutting a wire on the brown plug, I think he said what it was. I forget what plug it was, but helps bypass the reverse speed and stuff, and it helps with the 4x4, the seatbelt stuff, all kinds of things. So let's get this guy mounted back in here real quick. I thought I brought my gun out here, but I guess not. Let me run inside, grab my, oh, there it is. I was like, man, I'm like, I know, I just put the ECU back in. All right, let's get this bad boy mounted back up. Hopefully it cures our problem. I'm not gonna guarantee it, but again, by looking at that data, when I was, last night I was getting some of the video ready and uploaded and edited. I was going to talk about the different things the 16-pin connector has. Some have the one that goes in the wiring harness like this. Some go into the shift control or the reverse speed controller. And then the dual MT05 plug, you can cut. I think I'll have to look again on my phone. Here, let's walk into the shop so I can look at my phone and tell you exactly what he said from the email, so we can see possibly what my phone says here. Let me go through and find it real quick. So we have a graph of the 16-pin connector. Hopefully it focuses on that, maybe. Tells you what it does. And then he said on this one here, on the Odes rev limiter, cut wire to remove RPM limits of reverse, 4x4, seatbelt, and more. Odes wire color is white red, third from the bottom left corner clip up top. Gray plug, pin number 16. That's on the MT05 ECU. I have the DT E088, whatever it is. It's a single plug, so it's not the same. So we're gonna close this up. I did grab my dielectric grease that I closed in here the first time. Let's close this down. And it's a shame that they make these the way they do with that clips and stuff, man. So many people break those corners because they're not paying attention. All right, so let's climb in this bad boy. I'm going to try to bring you guys up higher around my neck area. So I was looking at some of the, ow, hit my head, some of the footage, and it just kind of sucks because you guys are kind of pretty low. But if I can get this thing to bend right, I might be able to keep you guys up here closer to my neck. All right, key on. Fuel level cinder lights on still. Oil light just went off. We'll let it idle for a minute, let it get warm, and then we'll take it for a little ride and make sure that the see if this issue's gone or not. So it's constantly showing that. That could just be the fuel level cinder itself and the fuel tank gone bad, as it'll cycle through between fuel and coolant temperature. You can see there. Of course, mode is nothing but trip, B. All right, so we're gonna just drive it around the yard. My wife's not here right now, so my little one's inside, so I can't run down the road, but we'll drive it around the yard. We'll throw it in low. Let's check the temperature on the coolant. Wait for it to show back up. Trying to make sure my mic's not buried. So we're still at 1 bar, but let's go right around, get this thing heated up a little bit, cruise around the yard in first gear, and see if we can get this thing to miss out at all while we're just cruising around. 3 bars is 188 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we just want to drive around, get it nice and warm. Bother the neighbors a little bit while they're playing for chickens and ducks. All right, so let's see how many bars are sitting in now. Probably still 2. Yep, still 2 bars. So I'm gonna run around till this thing gets to 3 bars and the fan kicks on. I'll keep it slow. And then once the wife gets back, I'll run up and down the roads again like we did last time and see if we still got that missing problem. GoPro, stop recording. All right, guys, so let's head on down the road here. Let's see what we can get this thing to do. Oh, now it's already doing it. Okay, I let it set. That is real. Okay, so it's not the reverse speed controller. What the hell would make the fuel cut off like that? Wow. 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 I'm at a loss for words right now. Let me put it in reverse, see if it does the same thing. There's reverse. These don't have seatbelt things on it. What would cause it to do that? I'm gonna have to look at the system. That's really, 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 really weird. I was thinking shift control. I really was thinking speed controller. That's weird. That is so weird. So weird. So my next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this cool back down and see if it does it only when the cooling fan's on. For some reason I'm having somebody might have messaged me or dropped a comment, they were having an issue with theirs having problems when the cooling fan comes on. I don't remember the Odes or Massimo had some product, whatever it was. But the cooling fan come on, they had some issues, runnability issues, and I thought it was kind of weird. Now, it could be something due to the ground. See, it could be in the same circuit. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna let it cool off to where the cooling fan doesn't come on, and then see if it only does it when the cooling fan comes on. Is it the thermal switch? Something shorting out that? I'm gonna have to jump into my Odes manuals and wire diagrams and see if I can find what that all connects to. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna jump into that, take a look at it, and see what I find out. GoPro, stop recording. All right, so it's been quite a few hours since we last ran this thing. So let's find out again if the cooling fan turning on sounds odd, but let's see if the cooling fan has anything to do with our runnability issue. So no cooling fan now. We're at 1 bar. So let's try to drive it. And there's issues right now. That's really interesting. Is something with a cooling fan in the circuit when it comes on is grounding something else out. That's really, really interesting. We're gonna let it sit here and idle for a minute. I'm gonna sit here and let you guys just kind of run through this thing. It's gonna make it a long video, but I'm really interested in to see what is causing this thing to act like it's gonna act. Maybe we'll just run down the road real quick to get it to heat up here. Put this in high gear since we're on the road running. I could definitely feel that belt skip though. And we're not going to run anything fast. We're going to keep normal speed, 25 mile an hour. I probably should be in low range, but so we're at 2 bar now. No issue. Right up here to hear if the cooling fan's kicked on yet or not. So no cooling fans yet. So let's continue to get this thing up to 3 bar. Actually, I'm gonna put it low range. Felt a lot better on the belt. We're just running 26, 27 miles an hour. The odometer reading, time, reset, kilometers, miles an hour, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So I'll sit here and let this thing warm up. We'll take it for a ride and we'll see what happens. GoPro, stop recording. Still at 2 bar. Okay, cooling fans are on. I've got nothing. No surging. There it is. Yep, there it was. As soon as the cooling fans come on. Now that's interesting. All right, so we know this. Pretty much as soon as the cooling fans turn on, we start to have a major surging issue. So now I need to sit down and open up a wiring diagram and see what would cause this thing to surge and for the fuel cutoff to turn on. Like, is the ground for the thermal switch and the fans ran to that, like I said before, to something, and it's triggering the engine cutoff all of a sudden? There's really no reason, shouldn't be, but it could be, because everything on here pretty much has power and everything is ran off of ground on here. That's why I checked that 9-pin connector. We can check different grounds and stuff like that, but that's very interesting, because I don't think this is the first time I've heard of somebody telling me about this. So I need to figure out what the cooling fans are wired to, follow that, trace that back, and see if I can figure out what is going on with the reverse speed controller, as they would call it, or, you know, motorcycle doctor calls it the shift control. So I'm gonna jump into my manuals, take a look around and see what I find, and let you guys know what I see. All right, so I took the Odes out again today for another test drive, and I got it to do the same thing. Why I say that is because hopefully right here, I'm gonna put a little clip here in a second. So basically what I did, I was studying the diagram. I was gonna try to see if I could take the clip, or the pin out of the DT, I think it's DT08 ECU, which is still the same thing as MT05 ECU, just with one plug. So it wasn't the same. Then I got to studying the reverse speed controller, and what I did, I pulled out the speed limiter wire from the reverse speed controller connector. Jumped in, I let it warm up today, took it out for a drive, and it did not surge. I was up to 55 miles an hour in high gear. I ran it low gear, I ran it everywhere. But what happened is that I looked over at the dash, and the gear position sensor for high, low, park was going nuts. It would show high, reverse, park, low. It would jump all over the place like crazy. Then it dawned on me, if the gear position sensor is bad and it's showing that it's in reverse, the reverse speed controller would kick in and do the fuel cutoff solenoid on that thing, or the, what do they call that? Enable the fuel cutoff on that, because it has a certain speed that you can go in reverse on those. It's a reverse speed controller. So I got to thinking, so if you look at this clip right here, hopefully I got it there. If not, it was early in the video. As it starts to surge, the H on the dash disappears, and every now and then you can see it changes to a different gear position, even though we haven't moved it. So what I did, I'm gonna order up, well, I did do it already. I ordered up a gear position sensor, or the angle rotation sensor for this thing. I'm gonna replace that, and hopefully that cures our problem. Because again, if the gear position is showing park, low, high, neutral, jumping all over the place like that, going everywhere underneath the sun, and as soon as it doesn't show it or shows reverse, it's going to kick in that fuel cutoff, and that's going to cause this surging problem where it falls on its face, or it cuts the fuel off, the dwell time for the spark, or for the fuel injectors and stuff like that. So I order one up. We'll throw that thing in there. We'll pull the cowling off. We'll change that. It's on the back right side of the transmission. Remember, the 1000-800 are different. The 1000 has actually one that bolts on there with 2 bolts. It's called an angle rotation sensor or gear position sensor. And the 800 actually bolts on with 3 different, I think it's 3 different wires in 3 locations to tell you low, high, park, reverse, all that stuff. So when that comes in here in the next few days, We'll throw that thing in there, take this deal for another test drive, and see if we cured this surging issue that this is having. All right, guys, so we're back on this Odes. We got the gear position sensor in, which is right here. Part number is 21050904001. It's for 1000 angle rotation sensor, as they would call it on some of these. Very simple to replace, very simple to take a look at here. Super simple. Now, you gotta take the cover back off, and back here on the passenger side, you can see it right here. Very simple, out, done, easy. All right, now you're loosening the two 6x10 bolts with the 8mm heads, and then make sure this detent is turned correctly. We'll take that out, put the new one on, we'll take it for a test drive. All right, guys, so we got the TPS sensor, haha. We got the gear position sensor, the angle rotation sensor installed in this thing. I'm just sitting here letting it warm up. Now there is still an issue with the fuel gauge, but that's all right. I'm not worried about that right now. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a ride and let's see if we get some more surging out of it. After all this stuff, I'm not exactly sure where I'll go after the gear position sensor failing like it was. So we'll let it get warmed up, cruise around on the low a little bit, and see if we still can't get it to repeat what it was doing beforehand. I got a bug in my eye. Whew. Should fit without hitting the tree or the truck. All right. I'm gonna put this in high range, and I'm actually gonna throw the seatbelt on in case I do pass a police officer. I am pretty much good to go with seatbelts and lights and all that good stuff. But what am I sitting on? I don't even know. But all right. We're in high. Run down to the college, turn around. Should have checked tire pressure. Oh well. As of yet, so we'll go back the other way. We're cruising about 50 miles an hour. Almost sounds like something's starting to fail, whatever. We're wide open now. good. We may have this one nipped in the bud, guys. It may have just been that gear position sensor all along causing those issues. Possibility quite high. I can definitely feel that belt slipping in high gear though still. Put this thing back in low range. I had no issue at all with the shifter at all. It stayed perfectly where it should be, so I'm pretty happy with that. No surging. Usually by now we get surging. And I have nothing at all, and that makes me really happy to hear that, or I shouldn't say to hear that, but to see that issue. Doug can finally get this thing back and enjoy it. All right, sweet. Everything sounds good, feels good, looks good. So you know what? I'm gonna call this problem solved. Every time I drove this thing, it had surging at wide open, and it would surge, get around 45, and it would surge. So I made me think it was a couple different things, like the reverse speed controller. Make sure that the speed limiter was unhooked. So we got another reverse speed controller having the same issue. Put that in, didn't solve the problem, so I removed the speed limiter wire out of the reverse speed controller connector. And then I was rewatching the video when I was editing part of this before I had finished up the rest of this part we're shooting now, and saw that the gear position sensor was flashing different R, H, L, P, all kinds of crazy things. And the reason I went back to that is because I saw it happen again after replacing the reverse speed controller. And I'm thinking, what would cause that to happen? Well, if it goes in R, then it's going to enable that fuel cutoff. And that's what was showing when we did the data stream, or the data record, and I went back through and watched it. It would drop the fuel, if fuel enable cutoff would kick on, and that made me go back and watch the video again while I was editing this before I filmed this part, and realized that it was doing that. So we ordered a gear position sensor, or angle rotation sensor, as you saw, installed that. I did zip tie that one on tight to make sure, because those little tabs will break off. It gets really hot there, and I've had those break off before, so I also usually secure it with another zip tie around there to make sure it stays secure and tight. And it had a little bit of oil residue around there, but I think it's from the pushing it out of that little PVC valve area on that thing. So no surging this time. So I'm gonna have Doug pick it up, let him ride around, and if he tells me it does it again, I will definitely let you guys know. But I'm gonna call this one done. We went through a couple of different ways of checking things. It's kind of, when it comes to some of these electrical things like that, like I miss that thing doing that on the dash with it shifting all over the place without it actually shifting. So that's on me, but that's kind of sometimes what happens. I'm glad I could go back and watch the video and double check that when I put that little thing up top, or that part of the video there. So again, guys, if you got any questions, drop some comments down below. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're a little over 7,000 subscribers now, 4 years into this YouTube channel. Leave a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you need to get a hold of me, you can find me at Limitless Powersports Service Repair on Facebook, or you can email me at limitlesspowersports78@gmail.com. Again, guys, thanks for subbing. Thanks for following along. Thanks for all the likes. And again, I try to answer all the questions I can, and I'll catch you guys on my next upload.